Uh, uh, uh. Yes, you are now listening to the sound of Sports Reports' order. And tonight, we got to react to a little bit of everything. Some good college football going on, some good NFL going on. It's football season, live in effect.
True.
I am your unorthodox statistician, 2-5, coming to you live from the Alamo by way of Baltimore. Going left so much you thought I was southpaw. And I got with me the even kill. Born in Texas, raised in Virginia, representing New Jerusalem. And he's even to the point that he's admitting that Ransom has caught up to Joe Budden. He is Mr. Logical. And do me a favor out there, do not bring feelings to a fact fight.
Don't do it.
And then one more favor, or a couple of more, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, review, subscribe, rate, share, do all the good things, do all the free things. Yes, sir, Sports Reports is ordered is here. And we're going to get it started now with Get It Off My Chest.
Yeah, Mike killing it once again, 2-5 with the intro. I am Mr. Logical. And just logically speaking, I want to know this. How, Chicago White Sox, how y'all get this bad? How was that possible that every team gets the same opportunity to build a team? You get to go to the same levels of players, you get to go to the combines, you have your agents, you have good money, you have TV deals, you have all these things at your disposal for you to build a good team. And you out here with the most disrespectful record I've ever seen. 36-115. They are 5 losses away from tying the expansion 1962 New York Mets for the worst record of all time. So I say go for it. I say blow it out of the water. Don't even try to win any more games. We're looking at about 13, 14 days. What's going on, Mike? Well, Mike Podcast. Check him out on YouTube anywhere you get your podcast. You're going on about, you got a few days left of the month. And, I saw the thumbnail. Yeah, so, I don't know, it's just amazing that you lose this many games in a row. Something like they've had 3 different double-digit losing streaks this season. They won consecutive games last weekend, and that was the first time they won consecutive games since from June 27th to the 29th. It's just bad. Only thing I can give them a shout for is you can see their game for like $16 if you want to go to Old Comiskey Park. So if you want to go check them out, North Side Chicago or South Side Chicago, excuse me, you could do it for like $32. You could probably get a couple of beers and tickets and see a mediocre baseball team or a subpar baseball team, but you get that experience. Me and Mike went to a couple of baseball games back in Colorado. It's fun. Mike wouldn't go catch the foul ball because we didn't have any gloves on, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, just the White Sox, man. I get it. Leagues are competitive, but you gotta do better than this. I expect y'all to clean house, start over completely fresh before you bring this back out here next March, asking people for their hard-earned money. So yeah,
not yet.
Shout out to the White Sox. Like I said, shout out to SeatGeek for keeping the prices low. But yeah, the White Sox, it just I don't know how you get that bad. You have professionals in your organization because I'm always going after the GMs and managers and owners and scouts. It's like, how are you putting together a team this bad when no one else is doing it? This is a clear measurement stick, a clear analytic metric that you as an individual organization are this bad. It's not anybody else's fault. You are this bad. You need a clean house. Hell, you might even need to sell the team because this is trash can on fire with manure being poured in and trying to put the fire out. So tighten up. Good luck next year. But yeah, keep that record going. I want to see the worst record in the history of sports.
Not even the A's, though, you know what I'm saying? And check out Cups in the Gang, you know what I'm saying? You got Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Facebook Live, Instagram, and all the good things. So, you know, look, the White Sox should be ashamed of themselves just because they're in the city of Chicago, first of all. One of the greatest cities. Yeah, one of the greatest cities in our country. Hardworking, you know, put your hard hat on. Monsters of the Midway. Chicago dogs. Chicago dog. And regardless of what Mr. Logical says,
it's not pizza.
It is better pizza. It's better pizza. I knew you were
going to say that. I knew, don't.
It's better pizza.
Listen, you sound like one of these Chicago White Sox managers trying to argue for a player.
Deep dish.
No, go get good pizza.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Jersey pizza, New York pizza.
Jersey pizza is the best pizza on earth.
All right, see, watch, Mike. I told you about this.
Yo,
Jersey cheesesteak. Hold up. Jersey cheesesteak or Philly cheesesteak?
Better than Philly.
See, I told you he said it. He gonna own it.
Jersey pizza, Jersey Italian food, Jersey sandwiches are the best of those three categories in America, hands down.
There you go. You heard it here first. All right. So without trying to piss off, you know, different segments of our great country, I'm just going to piss off one state, maybe. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. Chicago pizza. You know, but
it's a casserole. It's not pizza.
It might be that, but it's great, whatever it is. Anyway, so look, you know me, college football. I'm all about the rivalry. Bring it here. You know, this was Colorado's first time going out to Fort Collins since the 90s. All right, we're here for it. We know what happened last year. The dirty hit on Travis Hunter. You know, like the talk before the game. It's personal. You know what I'm saying? Dion made Jay Norvell, not Mike Norvell, made Jay Norvell relevant. You know what I'm saying? I had to give you a career just to kill it. You know what I'm saying? So then they go into Fort Collins this year, and I'm excited. 7-point spread. This is going to be a close game. These two teams, blah, blah, blah. I'm ready. So what I wasn't ready for was after the game because, for one, I don't understand what the hell Shador be saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like academics listening to the Migos trying to decipher what he was saying. But Braden Fowler-Nicosi, the quarterback for Colorado State, tried to come up to him after the game to shake his hand, tell him good game. But Shador was upset about all the things that Nicosi was saying on Instagram. First of all, Colorado, you are the last team on planet Earth that can get mad about anything that anyone says on social media. You know, now, I know that Dion was upset at this guy at the Denver Post. You know, I ain't even going to say his name because I don't want to legitimize him. You know what I'm saying? Dion was upset about that. But this is my message to Colorado. Sorry, Raph, I got to say it. Don't do the LeBron thing. If you want to be the villain, be the villain. Don't come out here for sympathy after the fact because you're going to get your ass kicked. No, it ain't justified. It's sports. Everybody talks shit. Conor McGregor told Floyd Mayweather, I would buy you. He told Nate Diaz, I could own you, and they still shook hands afterwards. Travis Hunter got knocked out the game and went bowling with the dude that knocked him out.
Yeah, but Shador's petty.
Nah, Shador ain't shit. That's what Shador is.
Petty.
So, like, look. So, at the end of the day, this is the thing. Nobody started shit talking until Colorado started shit talking. So, once you start shit talking, you don't get to determine the rules of the game. For example, if you punch me in my face because you went on your soliloquy before about your big ass hands, you know what I'm saying? So, if you punch me and I hit your ass with a baseball bat, you don't get to tell me how to react. You introduce the violence. So once you start talking, once you start trying to play for clicks, once you start trying to say, hey, we're Colorado and we ain't shit and we sorry, so y'all gonna talk about us because of the way we act and the things that we do, you got to get what comes with that. And it's still sports at the end of the day. You mean to tell me Shador never had a game against a rival or whoever in his high school career or anywhere else that it got heated, it got tension, there was tension? You don't think he shakes somebody's hand?
But maybe if
and what did Nicole even say? He didn't even say nothing crazy. He didn't say, you know what, fuck Colorado. He just said what?
What he said, I saw a little video. First of all, he didn't say it with his chest. He said it with like, first of all, if you lose a game the previous year, you can't use that as leverage saying we gave them a tougher game than they thought. They thought it was going to stop us by the spread. So that's what he was doing. So he was coming off as a fake tough guy. So then you want to be a fake tough guy. Then he was like, let's see what those.
That's Colorado's whole aura.
We're not doing this for, he said, we're not doing this for
Instagram likes, even though he was on Instagram.
Even though he was on Instagram and he posted on Instagram about it. And he was like, we'll see what followers get you, whatever the case may be. So what Shador did.
Is that out of bounds? Like, did he say, did he say I'm going to slap your mama?
No, I didn't say it was out of bounds. But he was like, listen, don't come at us and then try to like shake my hand. Listen,
shaking hands is what you do.
That's what you choose to do. You can't choose to do it or not. It's not a requirement.
Yo, did you see the Canelo fight the other night? Him and dude was hitting them in the nuts and everything. They still hugging and kissing on each other after the fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either, but they did. So the point that I'm making is that if you're that sensitive, if I know you agree with Raph, that's fine. But the point is if you're gonna be sensitive,
you gotta stop being so damn sensitive.
Yeah, if you're gonna talk, all your people are gonna talk to and about you.
Yeah, his feelings.
That's the way that it works. But at the same time, I'm sure LeBron James shook Lance Stevens' hand after he blew in his ear. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller shook hands. Like, this is what you do. Like, it's just, hey, you know what? Good game. It's just good sportsmanship. That's all it is. You ain't got to say nothing to him. You don't got to say, yo, what? Like, just shake his hand. You move on. Versus being like, I see what you did on Instagram. You know, you can't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even understand what you said anyway.
I understood what he said. Listen, I get you.
I didn't understand what he said. I had to rewind that shit.
He's like, oh, you talked all that shit on Instagram. That's what he
said. But
that's
fine. Like, yo, you talked all that shit on Instagram. Shake his hand.
So it's like, you could.
But you can't have, but see, this is the problem, and this is where you and James are wrong. This is where you and James are wrong. Because you can't have it ain't no difference of opinion. Y'all wrong. This is where you can't have your daddy out here talking about scripture and talking about being a leader of men and being this big person and leading the way and doing all this stuff. And yeah, I'm going to forgive you. And yeah, and Travis is going to go bowling with my man that just took him out the game. You can't be doing all that and then acting like that. That's all I'm saying.
The thing. And I feel you. But Shador doesn't act like Travis. Travis is a different kind of dude. Travis seems to be more level-headed guy.
So everybody getting the lesson, but the dude that grew up in the house with Dion.
Listen, I'm not saying the guy isn't cocky. I'm not saying he's not arrogant, but
and I like Shador.
He's sticking to it. That's the thing. For me, I look at it like this. Like Mano said something. The rapper Mano, shout out to Brooklyn. He said something that was like really profound, and it kind of helps. It kind of helps me in these kind of situations. Like, he was like, you could be who you want to be, just stay in that lane. That way I know what lane you in.
Right.
So with Shador is a very public, ebbs and flow, feelings-based, emotional, reacting.
Did those Nebraska players shake Shiloh hand after he rolled up to them doing the coin flip? Talking about how they was...
The coin flip, it was more joke.
No, it wasn't visceral. It's trash talk. It's trash talk. We just talking about trash. But it don't matter where you did it at.
But that's the thing. I got it. You can't trash talk me if I don't respect you. Like, if I don't respect you before it starts, and then you trash talk me and I beat you, history is written by the victors. We won last year, we won this year, and you did more talking about us. Like, he's like, it kind of reaffirms Shador's narrative that we are everybody's Super Bowl. I
I mean,
think
they're also your
Colorado.
rival too. You know what I mean? Like,
But
matter of fact, Colorado. If y'all want more respect, how about y'all get a better rival besides a G5 team? How about that?
What? Listen, they can't listen. Everything can't be solved in one day. We're
Hey,
talking about one
look,
particular topic.
I said
Yes,
what I
he
said.
didn't shake his hand. I'm with it. I get you. I understand your piece, but I'm also kind of petty. I won't sit there. I won't bash you. But if me and you don't rock, then we don't rock. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna go tell other people not to rock with you. But if you not my slice of bread, I'm not gonna rock with you. And he probably doesn't respect him as a player. He probably has. I mean, I'm
I mean, he
pretty
did
sure
call
the
him what, a water
communication.
boy or something like that.
I'm pretty sure the conversation between Fort Collins and Boulder, like that distance isn't that great. I'm pretty sure more information's been out. I'm pretty sure he's probably got more Instagram posts, different teammates who are friends with other guys, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure it's more than just what we heard there. Because you said you were talking all that shit on Instagram. So I imagine it's probably more. But even with that, it's like, you know what? I don't respect you. Why am I going to shake your hand?
I mean,
'Cause
I
that's
don't
a
know.
sign
I
of
don't know. Your
respect.
daddy was the one that said it was personal in the first place
Listen,
because a dude talking about a watch.
Me and my dad have a lot of things in common.
You and your
We
dad
don't
need to grow
always
up.
agree.
Both of y'all asses. His old ass need to grow up too. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. And I love you, Dion, and I love Shador, right? I love
Never
the villain.
sounds like it.
No, I love
I get it.
Shador. I'm a Thanos guy. You know what I'm saying? I love the villain, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, like, just be what you say you are, because Dion's supposed to be Mr. You know what I'm saying? Don't throw rocks and all this, and I'm supposed to forgive everybody and all this kind of shit. And his son out here acting a donkey.
Shador is a lot more like Dion. The reason that I like the Falcons,
I guess he's like young Dion, huh?
Is the personality, the personality that I saw coming out of the tunnel in 1991 is the reason I'm a Dion fan. I think Shador just encapsulates that. It's just more in public. But
I bet you Dion was shaking people's hands in 91, though.
Oh, he tried to shake Jerry Rice's hand. Jerry Rice said shake his hand. Remember that game?
Yep. And Jerry was wrong for that. So, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying. I mean, at the end of the day, if you ain't going to shake his hand, fight him. You know what I'm saying? If y'all ain't, no, I'm saying if y'all ain't swinging on each other, then why not shake his hand? Like, just because the dude said, what are your followers going to get you? Now, if he called you the N-word or something, you know what I'm saying?
It might just be a simple fact. It's like, everybody has a person in their life that you're like, you know what? I can't stand this person. You have them. You don't have to say that person out loud. And it might take you a little bit to want to shake this person's hand. Whoever that person's hand is in your head. I have one.
Yeah, we all got one, but it's called professionalism.
Hey, listen, professionally, stay the hell out of my radius. Like, my arms don't need this long. You don't need to be this close.
Tradition and culture. That's all it is.
Stay over there. Just stay over there.
That's all it is.
Stay in that lane. You in the far right lane. I'm in the left lane doing my thing. Stay over there. You know that's where you belong in my book. That's how you behave.
Well, I appreciate you hijacking my get it off my chest.
My bad. You know how we do.
But here we go. Like, let's get off of this for the moment. So, normally in college football, one of the things we talk about and we look forward to are the upsets. But it was upset Sunday this weekend.
Yeah, man.
What was going on in the NFL this week?
Quentin Tarantino, Spielberg, Spike Lee, and Matt Damon sat in the room and wrote a great script for the NFL for this weekend because none of it made any sense. Not an ounce of it made any sense. And I said on Sunday to someone, if the Falcons win on Monday night, I'll believe the NFL is rigged. Obviously, I'm being facetious and sarcastic. I do.
Oh, so you're gonna be like no 3-2-1. He still ain't ate that solo cup of shit yet.
Jesus.
Oh, you ain't hear about that? No, you ain't hear about that?
What happened?
Did you do it on Twitter? No 3-2-1. He was after they lost to Georgia Tech. He was like, "Yo, if I think it was after they lost to Georgia Tech, he was like, if we lose our next game, I'll get on here and eat dog shit out of a solo cup." So we've been looking for that man ever since.
Yeah, I'm never gonna put myself.
We pay our bets in Seminole Nation.
Well, fuck all that. I had to break the code if that was the case. Yeah, but the NFL's interesting. Obviously it's not rigged. And people like to use the betting aspect of it. I'm like, the betting aspect doesn't make it rigged because you can bet the opposite as well. Like, you can bet that this guy doesn't score a touchdown. I was like, oh, appreciate it. So, like, I don't believe it's rigged, whatever the case may be. I do think it's a lot of quarterbacks that are in the league that should have sat behind a veteran for 16 or 17 games, depending on when they came in the league. I feel like because we saw that the quarterback touchdown pass numbers have dropped. It was like something like 105.
Yeah, it
in a
was.
couple of weeks.
I had it pulled up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically it's down to 66 this year.
66 this year.
You know,
Your
in the
top
first 2
three
games.
quarterbacks that are starting, because Drake Payne's not starting, Penix isn't starting. So you got Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels. Neither one of them through 2 games, they don't have touchdown passes. Jane has a couple of runs.
Yeah, here you go right here. So starting in 2019 through the first 2 weeks of the season, 105, 2020 110, 2021 110, 2022 105, 2023, which was last year, 86, 66 this year, and this is from Steve Palazzolo. Hopefully I said your name right.
Yeah, so I think that's the athletes that are playing defense. They're doing a lot more hybrid. I think they're playing a lot more hybrid players. A lot more teams are playing more versatile safeties versus guys that just stand in 2 deep shells and try to defend. You got a lot of guys in the box. Cal Hamilton. I think the Cowboys are running a couple of linebackers that are basically big safeties.
You sure?
It hurts them.
You sure?
Because
I didn't see no defense in Dallas this weekend.
They got uniforms on. They put on.
Oh, okay.
But they were just getting trampled by guards because they only weigh like 230 and they're playing linebacker. So there's a lot of that's going on. So you're able to defend like these wide receivers, and ultimately, I think it's a lot of just quarterbacks that are starting either because they got drafted very high, and we talked about this before, the Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco effect, but that was still 16 years ago. It's been plenty of information to show you, like, you know what, it might benefit teams if they just draft a guy and for 1 year and sit him behind a veteran. Not like what Atlanta did with this expectation it could be like 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. But the Alex Smith, Mahomes, I think the Bears probably shouldn't have drafted Trubisky that year. They probably should have got a vet and then maybe got a defensive player and then get your quarterback the next year. Very similar to what they're doing now because they threw Caleb Williams out there. And I was watching the game Sunday night, and it's like, this guy likes to make plays with his legs. So if you don't call any plays for him to make plays with his legs where he's rolling out, making throws, he's going to eventually do it on one of these dropbacks. He's done it 2 games in a row where he's like scrambling around all crazy backwards. Like Eberflus, talk to someone, Waldron, like, yo, get this guy on the edge, give him 4 or 5 of these rollout passes.
It's called RPO.
Not even RPO. Just the simple bootleg and just move the pocket. You know what? Like when Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a Hail Mary. You know how they just kind of roll the pocket? Just move the pocket over so he can set up later and get a good pass off. Because I just sent the video in the group chat of him and CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud talking to him after the game. You know, 2 people that respect each other. That's why they shook hands. He told him, like, listen, man, stop taking all those hits. And Caleb was like, yeah. Like, he's like, nah, did he grab him by his shoulders? Like, yo, come here. No, lift for real. So I'm taking all those hits. You know what I mean? Learn from these mistakes. You're going to be a good player in this league. But, like, he literally grabbed him. I was like, yo, stop taking all those hits. Why is the coach on the team not telling him that? Why is DJ Moore talking to the backup quarterback talking about, I need you, dog?
Well, you remember he didn't want Justin Fields gone in the first place.
Correct. And so it's not going well. Bryce Young, I know we'll get into that.
Well, at least they got the Colts this week.
Yo, that's going to be, I don't know if that's going to be watchable quarterback play. Because Anthony Richardson, he was completing like 56% in college. And I get it that Josh Allen was the same way, but Josh Allen was throwing the guys in Wyoming. Yeah. His skill position guys were not every game in and out more skilled than the defenders. Whereas Anthony Richardson had like Florida boys running around. Like he couldn't hit these dudes when they were wide open. But I think he's a likable guy.
Is there an 0-2 team right now that you think like, oh, hey, you know, everything's all right. Don't panic yet. Or is there an 0-2 team that you're like, yeah, just go on and pack it up, dog?
I want to say Cincinnati because I think because Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. One of them came back on the holding call, but he threw
Mhm.
like that third one was on the same drive. So like he can't figure them out. And I think he said something. No, that was Brock Purdy. But it seems like he can't figure out the Bengals scheme. But the pass interference call kind of threw that off. Jamar Chase not getting his money. T. Higgins, like we talked about this with the franchise tag, is like, are you going to play through that injury or you not? So it's a lot of plays like that. And then you got guys that got paid. Tua got paid. Trevor Lawrence got paid. So it's a lot of guys that they got all this money that you can't bench. Justin Herbert got paid. He's going to average about 175 yards passing the game this season.
Yeah.
Josh Allen got paid, but he's gonna run himself into he's gonna need a 2-game break because he's gonna just run into stuff.
Yeah.
But Higgins' bag is guaranteed though. James. So that's the thing that he has going is like, I'm not gonna risk being hurt next year because someone's gonna pay him.
Well, when we did our season previews, our division previews, and everything, I said Cincinnati wasn't going to make the playoffs. And I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that they are going to make the playoffs. So like, for example, like right now, Jamar Chase isn't having the best time. He even got a technical foul somehow the other day. Wrong sport, but he got a technical foul. But he not having T. Higgins on that other side. And then you lost Boyd as well to Tennessee, which I brought up during the preview, is that life is just harder now because there's nobody else to offset the attention that you're getting from the defense. And Cincinnati still can't run the ball. Like, they've been lucky all this time because Joe Burrow has been able to put it on his back, so to speak. But, Zach Moss is not the answer. I think Chase Brown is better, but I think they're going to wait too late to make that change if they do.
Watching the Kansas City game, I thought they were in control of the game. It started to make me think
but the problem is that they play Kansas City like that. That's the problem. Like, they have Kansas City's number.
We got to see if he can, if he can get up for all these other games. I feel like their division, you got Baltimore. I think Baltimore will be fine once they just kind of go back to, like, I forgot. I want to give credit. I believe it was Chris Broussard said, my advice for Baltimore is for John Harbaugh to call Jim Harbaugh and ask him if he can ask the guy that he hired as his offensive coordinator to send him some tips. Like the guy that Baltimore had when they led the league in rushing like 3 years in a row. Give the ball. And in Baltimore, you got to put a clause in the contracts for your wide receivers not to go to fucking Twitter. They always go to Twitter. Like, dog, just talk to Lamar. You got a quarterback your age. He's of your, like, he is your, like, it's not like you have a quarterback you can't relate to. Like, you have a quarterback that you can relate to. He's young, black, with money, in the league, on the team, dealt with criticism. Like, is anybody been in the Baltimore organization for years? If you got an issue with the ball, talk to him. Like, if you can't talk to him, you're not going in the other team. You're not going to the Jets and tweeting about Aaron Rodgers not getting you the ball because you won't get that shit in practice.
Well, my advice to Baltimore is the same thing that we've been saying. Everybody's saying, hey, get an offensive line before you put the quarterback out there. Don't put Bryce Young out there with that offensive line, so on and so forth. How about you got a 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous, 1-time asterisk by me. But anyway, he got it. Don't lose 3 of your offensive linemen in the same offseason. They didn't get hurt. You lost 3 offensive linemen. So that's Baltimore's problem right now, is that they're still trying to figure out that offensive line. They're still trying to.
I think they're trying to play Lamar into the narrative that he is a pocket passer,
and he ain't.
Versus calling plays that says we have a team full of ballers. Like the Ravens have just flat out dangerous athletes all across the field. They should never be in a game where it looks like they don't know what's going on. You have just dynamic defensive backs. Your defensive line is always stout. Even your offensive linemen losing them, your run game is always stout. You got a 6'4", 240-pound running back, and you got a quarterback that runs a 4.3, 4.4. It's like you guys are making this way more complicated. You're not Carolina. You and Carolina shouldn't have the same record.
Well,
Like that's all I'm saying. Like they like you. The Baltimore Ravens are not not an 0-2 team, but they play
apparently they are.
like they're trying to prove some other point. Like you don't need to prove anything to anybody. Like yo, if you need to hold on to the ball for 35 minutes and run it 44 times, then run it 44 times.
Hey, they gave Derrick Henry 18 carries this time. 84 yards. That still might not be enough. But speaking of the Ravens, you know where they go this weekend, right?
So where to get a win?
They coming down here to Jerry World.
Ooh.
What the hell happened in Jerry World the other day?
Like I said, we every year, and this is the thing I love about being a prognosticator. I like being wrong. I like making a prediction or making some kind of assessment and then being wrong. That way I can go back and say, okay, what did I miss? And I remember talking to you about New Orleans, saying like, I don't think they're going to be as bad because you had them like 0-27. Like you had them losing 10 games next year based off this current roster. And I was like, I don't think they're that bad. I'm like, they're old, but they're always stout. They're always solid defensively. And it's like what happens in the NFL, because you play these video games, you see college games. When you give up like consecutive touchdowns early and the defense knows you don't have the luxury of just running the ball and establishing a run game when you give up touchdowns in your first 3 possessions and you don't get any. You're 21-3, you're 21-10, you're 28. Like when the score is like that and the defense knows like, yo, man, all that play action, just save it. Just don't even call any of it. We coming downhill no matter what. Once you get that kind of a jump in an NFL game, it's hard to come back. And I think New Orleans I think they capitalized on a couple of key aspects of Dallas, which is, like I said, I think they're still undersized. I think that was their problem in the Green Bay playoff game, was that they were undersized at the second level and the guards were getting up to the linebackers, who are basically, like I said, big safeties.
Yeah, Aaron Jones ran for 120 something in that game.
And he just running. And then Kamara on that screen pass, the closest person to him was his guard running with him. There's no defense in the whole picture. It was number 51 was running.
Yeah. And that's where like, when I look at it, I think last week everybody got caught up, right? Because they dominated the Browns. Like, let's make fun of Deshaun Watson. He ain't ready. He ain't hungry. All this kind of stuff. The focus was over there. Like, hey, look at what Dallas's defense did. Look at what Dallas. And when you watch that Browns game, and they didn't need it, but the offense wasn't necessarily clicking either.
That's what I was saying. If you just looked at their box score, if you didn't look at the score, you just look at Dallas's stats, you would have thought the game was closer to like 17-13.
Right. And then when you watch it this week, and then when you watch the game this week, Dallas, like to your point, they still can't run. I mean, they gave up 35 points in the first half. So, I mean, I don't know what you want to do with that to begin with.
You can't run that ball after
that. But their running backs combined, 17 rushes for 59 yards. That's across 3 dudes. You know what I mean? And, so Dak, Dallas's receivers. And I was wrong about this because I was one of the people that I let Cowboy fans hype me into thinking that they had all this talent. I was having these arguments a year and a half, 2 years ago about how talented Dallas was or was not. And at the time, I was like, I don't think Dallas is as talented as we think. Same thing with Cincinnati. Like, you got players in certain spots where you want talent, but what about the rest of the team? But then they convinced me. They went down the offensive line. They were talking, and I was like, all right, man, y'all got it. Dallas is a talented team. So, but then when you look at it now, I can't never say his name, but Badiz, whatever his name was, the center, he's in Washington now. They lost Tyron Smith, even though he's older, continuity. You know what I mean? So they have Guyton from Oklahoma, the rookie, who's going to be real good, but he's a rookie. And the rest of the offensive line is not as talented as him. Brandon Cooks is in and out the lineup with injuries. He's inconsistent. They don't have a third receiver. Michael Gallup's gone. The running backs.
He abruptly retired.
Yeah. And when you look at the running backs, Rico Dowdle, okay. Like old man, fat man Zeke. You know what I'm saying? And then, you got
they should have just paid Derrick Henry whatever Baltimore paid him.
Exactly. And we said that all off season. And you got I just said his name, Deuce Vaughn, who's legitimately 3 inches shorter than my short ass. So, you know what I mean? So I don't know what Dallas is trying to accomplish. That's his name, Biades. I just can't say it. Like, I know his name, I just can't say it. But so Dallas is coming into the season. I picked, don't get me started on my division pick. I picked Philadelphia to win the division, but it wasn't necessarily because of, hey, I believe in Philadelphia. It was because I saw Dallas taking a step back. But this is what I don't want people to do. Like, I don't want people to look at this and say, actually, I don't care because I'm not a Dallas fan, but I don't want people to look at this and just say, oh, so y'all, you're yelling at Dan Quinn and was talking about getting him out of town. And look at this. This is game 2 with Mike Zimmer, who's a way better defensive coordinator than Dan Quinn. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time. I do think so.
We'll see.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Dan
Eric
Quinn,
Mangini said something. He was like, well, and like I said, I always
Dan Quinn's teams suffer from the same thing every time they lose. That's not a good coach. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I said, I talked about my son's team when they were like down at halftime. They've all played football together for 8 years. So when they talk to each other, yeah, we've done this before. We've done this before. Mike Zimmer doesn't know how to get these guys to turn it around. So when the avalanche of points was falling on them from Kamara, it was like, I don't know what to go to definitively that's going to lock it. I don't know if we just go straight cover 2, if we go man, if we just straight stay in zone for the rest of the game. Like, do we stand Micah up? Do we have him rush the passer the whole time? Like, I don't think they have enough failures to come up with a plan B.
They'll figure that out as the season goes on. It's only the second game of the season.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like, I think they'll figure it out. As far as like the talent, I think the NFL is just loaded with talent. I just think that some teams just don't have the right combination. I think some teams don't have the right receiving core for the quarterback that they have. I think some teams don't have the right coach for the personnel. Like, it just
the Bears.
Talent. The Bears. Look, the Chargers are going to look way different under Harbaugh than they did under Staley.
And smarter.
With some subtractions that they had, minimal additions, like young additions and like a couple of cast-offs from the Ravens, in their backfield. So it'll play itself out. I picked Dallas to win the division based off the fact that the last 3 years they won 12 games each year, and every single offseason they seem to have the same kind of personal problems. Not personnel problems, but like personal problems. Jerry Super Bowl aspirations, this contract, but yet they still found a way to win 12 games, where Philly had leaders everywhere and they fell apart.
Can I have
those leaders? So I didn't think it was going to bounce back.
Can I have a 20-second slight emotional reaction real quick?
Go.
Okay, it is Mason Rudolph time in Tennessee. Get Will Levis out of here. We're done with Will Levis. You remember those videos? We done with the 80s. We done with Will Levis. Big trash. Go sit down, sir. You know what I'm saying? I would bench my son if he did some of the things that Will Levis has done so far this season in these 2 games. I will bench my own son for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a guy who against Chicago, you lost to a team that scored no offensive touchdowns, and you were falling to the ground and decided to throw the damn ball.
He didn't even throw it that way. He threw it.
Yeah, he threw it
backhanded.
And then against the Jets, you're going in for the touchdown. It's not even like you're at midfield or something. You're going in for the touchdown.
That's the field. It was third down. That's the field goal. You're up 10-0.
Something.
Take the sack and go up 10-0.
Like your first year head coach that has been the head coach for 2 games literally asked you, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? On national
Live
TV. Didn't have a care in the world that he was talking to you like that. As I was sitting here saying, what the fuck are you doing?
I was talking to Rachel, and I was like, yeah, last week this guy threw like a crazy backwards pass. I'm like, these guys suck. She's like, why do you like football so much? I'm like, yeah, it's just crazy. You watch all these games. Like, how do you watch all these games? Like, well, I watched the game last week. The guy did that because I was driving around and I just had the game on my phone. I was looking for a parking spot. And as soon as I parked, he did it again. Like, see, he did it again. She was like, oh, I can see why you watch this every week. But she's like, she still doesn't get it. But yeah, when he did it, I was like, why? He probably, if they looked at it, he might have already been down.
He literally lost both of their games. And I'm not saying that just because I had them as a surprise playoff team. I'm just literally wondering, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
He's trying to make a play because he didn't sit behind a vet. He didn't sit behind an OG that taught him anything about playing.
So they needed to keep Tannehill around for that.
They should have kept Tannehill. Dead ass. They should have moved Willis.
It's Mason Rudolph time.
They should have moved Willis as soon as they drafted Will Levis. They should have moved him for whatever they could have gotten him. Had him tutor under Tannehill. Send Tannehill on his way because I think they got Levis in like the 3rd round.
Oh, speaking of Willis, the victory.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he took his lumps, and he'll probably be a viable backup. I think he went like 12 for 14, 140 yards, a couple of touchdowns. So it was a nice little game. Did you see the throw up, the vomit video?
Yeah. No, I was watching the game live, unfortunately, because I'm a sicko like that. I was watching the game live. You know what I mean? I saw, Anthony Richardson go 17 for 34 to follow up his 9 of 19. And speaking of which, where's Q? Somebody page Q and get him on line 1 because he got some splaining to do.
For FSU losing.
Hey, we talking about the Colts right now. We're talking about the Colts right now.
He don't even want to be on the end. He keep losing bets. His profile picture is always a different team every week because he keep losing these bets. For years he does it. Every year he makes fun of these bets. And like one day you'll see it, he'll have a Seahawk logo. I'm like, oh, you must have lost a bet to Deegan. Or you have another bet. A Notre Dame one. I'm like, oh, you must have lost a bet to Bushy.
Yeah, Mark Safe from Indy 2.5. You know what I'm saying? No Indy 2.5 up in here now. But we gotta go there, right? Because you brought up a guy, right before the season started. You said this guy is going to be in the MVP conversation. And I agreed with you. And he came out for 2 weeks now, straight buns. And he plays in the city of Detroit. What's going on with Jared Goff?
I don't want to keep using this excuse because I think a lot of people have been using it. The lack of preseason reps might be actually bothering some of these guys. I think September for the rest of this month, you're going to get surprise play. Like Derek Carr only threw like 19 passes, I think.
Yeah, he's 15 for 15 on drives that he leads.
Yeah, so it's like you had, I think he threw like a pick, but they had 15 consecutive scoring possessions over the 2 games, 11 touchdowns over these 2 games. But then you have just Detroit. And what I think it is, I think they believe in Goff, and I'm not sure if the rust is like fully knocked off yet. I think guys didn't play live. I don't know how live or how effective hard practices are. considering that even in the preseason games they don't
Oh,
play.
Malik Neighbors knows how hard practice is. You remember that Lions player giving them that 1-2?
Yeah, but I think that's the only time they go ham. But even with that, most players are like, listen, I don't want to go too hard because you don't want to hurt a guy in a joint practice and then now potentially some third or fourth string safety who might not make the team gets put on the field and he takes your top wide receiver out. I'm just saying, I imagine that is a possibility. Like a guy that might get cut was like, listen, I'm going hard. Coach is like, listen, go ahead. I don't see nothing. Do your thing. And you clock Justin Jefferson over the middle. Now you got a big brawl.
Yeah, he's injured, by the way.
Yeah. Injuries. The injury.
That's a 2-0 team that I don't believe in.
I mean, that's a factual statement.
I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I mean, like, it's crazy, right? They blocked the punt, had the 49ers fumble at the goal line, had a 97-yard touchdown, picked off Purdy more than once, and they won by 6 at home.
They got 23 points
with no Christian McCaffrey.
Like I said, a lot of it's Fugo. So by the end of September, like the same way I feel about the NCAA rankings,
as Rob Parker would say,
give it 4 games and we'll see what people are.
As Rob Parker would say, the Minnesota Vikings are Michigana.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But Tampa Bay though, like we talked about the loser, let's talk about the winner. You know, Baker Mayfield, you know, making plays, you know, juking people out of their shoes. You know, Mike Evans being doubled and triple covered, and Chris Godwin says, "Remember me? Y'all forgot about Dre."
15 for 15.
Yeah,
he caught every pass. He caught every target he's been thrown this season.
And you brought it up last week. You know that you think that what Tampa Bay is doing is sustainable, and you know when you look at it, Derek Carr leads the league in yards per attempt. Baker Mayfield right behind him at number 2. And if you had that, you probably won a lot of money in Vegas if they keep track of that. You know, but Tampa somehow won this game. Detroit out yardaged them. I don't know what the right word is. Out yardaged them. 463 to 216. 216 total yards. Detroit went 1 for 7 in the red zone. And don't forget, you know, like, right before halftime, Detroit had a chance to get the field goal. What happened? 12 men on the field. How do you get 12 men on the field on offense?
The coach, Van Campbell, took it on the chin. He said that was his fault.
And shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, too. My bad. Shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, 4.5 sacks.
Coming for Strahan's record. Yeah, I think me and my dad would talk about this the other day. Some quarterbacks are good, and some guys are guys that can lead you back from down 10 points at any point in the game. Like, you down 10 points, you know you got this guy, he can bring you back. And some guys are real playmakers. Baker Mayfield is a playmaker. Jared Goff is not scrambling and juking people trying to get a touchdown. That's why they go 1 for 7 in the red zone. Like, he's your traditional pocket quarterback that gets on the edge. Your Kirk Cousins, even like a guy like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has athleticism, but he's not a playmaker. He'll get out of the pocket.
Tell that to the Washington defense.
But Joe Burrow's a playmaker. Patrick Mahomes are playmakers. Josh Allen, Russell Wilson when he was in his good groove. Even Justin Fields to an extent is like, these guys will make plays. Caleb Williams wants to be a playmaker. Kyler Murray is like, some of these guys just can get you. You won't go 1 for 7 in the red zone with Kyler Murray. He's going to make something happen on some of those drives, even if he has to scramble around for like 70 yards, like that 2-point conversion against the Raiders a couple years ago. From the 2-yard line, he ran back and forth like 70 yards.
Shout out to Marvin Harrison Jr. or Harvin Harrison.
Jared Goff is going to scramble to the right, and if the DB comes off his zone and tries to get to him, he'll slide, and he'll throw it to Laporta and see what happens. And that's the end of the play. That is what Jared Goff is giving you right now. So he can give you on-time stuff. Brock Purdy gives you on-time stuff. But if it kind of falls apart, then they look limited.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence. He has athleticism to move, but he's the same thing. He'll roll, slide, throw,
Doug
incomplete.
Peterson.
So it
Doug
is, and I
Peterson.
think that's the difference. As long as if you could be a guy that can make throws from the pocket, you have weapons like Baker Mayfield does with Godwin and Mike Evans, and you can get outside the pocket on a 3rd and 6 and get 7 or 8 yards, make a guy miss, get that 7 or 8 yards.
Right.
That changes the dynamic of a game. And I think some of these traditional pocket passing guys are going to cost you if you don't have everything else right. That's why like a play like 12 men on the field during a field goal has your coach talking about it at the post-game press conference, because if you mess that play up, your non-playmaking quarterback can't do it. Like I thought Jared Goff was just going to be able to dart guys up, hence why he was going to be an MVP conversation. I thought they were going to win a lot of games. I thought their defense made good draft picks, and he's just going to be able to do what he did with the Rams and what he's been doing for Detroit for the last couple of years. But, like I said, it's just when you're all rusty and the quarterback is rusty, it just looks bad.
You ready
like
for
the last night with Philly? Like, we'll talk, as we talk about the end of that game, that call to Saquon I think it was the right call.
I like it.
I like the call. It wasn't executed.
You just got to make that catch. You know what I mean? Like, and I get the argument for the other side, but I like it.
Yeah, because if you think about the other side, the other argument was, well, if you ran the ball and didn't get the first down, kicked the field goal, Atlanta would have got the ball with 59 seconds.
Yeah.
If you ran it all the way down. So Atlanta would have got the ball back at the 30 with 57 to 59 seconds. But they got down the field in 3 plays. So being up 6.
Big play Slay, huh?
Yeah, so but he was looking inside like, where do you think Kirk Cousins is going? You could, like, he's gonna be standing right there. Like, you watch Drake, and then Drake hit him with a little shimmy, and then he was out. But like I said, everyone's gonna kill Sirianni. I know I'm not the biggest fan of Sirianni, but I look at it like this: I've been coaching aggressively all game, my entire time I've been here. I'm gonna go with it. So I think Philly will be fine.
Yeah,
just that they can't have these
they go
first
to New
half
Orleans this week, so that'll be fun.
Maybe it'll be a real test, but that secondary looked a little shaky.
So and I don't know if it's
yeah.
You ready for these 0-4 Jaguars?
What they got the next 2 weeks?
At Buffalo, Monday Night Football next week, and then Houston the week after that. They're 3-7 in their last 10 going back to last season.
Trevor Lawrence lost 7 straight games. I saw that stat today.
Mm-hmm.
Your Doug Peterson. I wasn't on board with your Doug Peterson hot seat take when we did it early this year.
Get out of here, bro.
I think it was one because I just felt like Lawrence signing that contract. As an ownership group, as a GM, I wouldn't want to ruin the first year of $50 million, because if you hire somebody from within the staff, they're probably going to be running the same schemes, plays, meeting times. Like, I mean, I don't know if they have former NFL head coaches on staff that can elevate and do the job. You're not going to pull a Jeff Saturday and pull a guy in.
Happen. You know what's going to happen. We've seen this story before. They fired Doug Peterson and bring in Clint Kubiak.
Well, yeah, I can see that. You do that in January. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, this season's done if they go 0-4. Like, it don't matter who,
Yeah, but like the development of your quarterback, because you're not going to bring in another coach or another playbook. So you're just going to have him out there with a coach that you don't plan on, that it's not going to be the future.
Right.
I just figure like you ride it out. You ride out this year, because NFL teams do go on runs. I mean, the 49ers won 5 games last year, lost 3, and then won 5 in a row again. So, like, it does happen.
The 49ers, bro.
Yeah, but the 49ers shouldn't have lost 3 in a row.
And there were injuries involved in that, too.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have lost 3 in a row. One of them was to the Vikings, ironically, 22-17 versus this year.
Yeah,
Urban Meyer still was a trash can coach though.
shout out to my Commanders, getting the first win of the Jaden Daniels era, without scoring a touchdown.
Has that ever happened before?
I think they said it did. It's happened at least 3 times that I thought I remember seeing. But
what team scored that many touchdowns and didn't win?
Yeah, it was 3. It was 3. Yeah, it was 3 touchdowns. Well, the Giants. Well, the problem was the Giants didn't have a kicker.
They knew their kicker was laboring all week and then bring up a kicker.
Right. Yeah. So they had to keep going for 2.
But their kicker was injured all week. He was nursing an injury all week and then re-aggravated something else.
That's how much they didn't respect Washington, I guess. But it is what it is. You fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. 0-2.
You can't get the punter to try a kick.
And then now Daniel Jones gets to try it against Cleveland's defense. So, good luck with that.
The way this last Sunday went, it wouldn't surprise me if they put up 28 points on Cleveland.
I know.
And won the game 28-13.
And then, oh my goodness, somebody please put the voodoo dolls away and leave the Rams alone. They lose an offensive lineman like it's Vietnam. Now Cooper Kupp is out, he's on IR now. So really? I don't know. Yeah, he's on IR 4 games. So, I don't know what they're going to do. They got San Francisco this week.
See that? I saw Tua's on IR.
Yeah, Tua's on IR, but they better stop playing and put that man on the pup.
Nah, they put him on IR for the media.
They put that man on the pup.
Tua ready to go next week.
Yeah, Tua better sit his ass down. They think that Jordan Love might play this weekend.
Come on, man. Let Malik Willis do his thing.
let Malik Willis do his thing. Words that I never thought I would hear anybody say.
You're too early in the year to be rolling the dice with your quarterback. It's just too early in the year. Especially if you could get him. If Malik knows, like I said, you got a guy like Geno Smith. Geno Smith took his lumps in a couple of different organizations. And he got his shot in Seattle. I'm not saying Malik is going to turn into a starting quarterback,
right.
But you let a guy, play it out.
Let him cook
him around. Let him do his thing. Let him make his mistakes, whatever. But just simplify the game plan. Like you say, he only threw 14 passes.
Yeah,
which I think some teams like the argument I made that Lamar should be throwing like 25 to 28 passes a game. Like,
hey, that's an 2-time MVP you talking about.
Yeah, you could
go tread lightly, sir.
Go 21 for 26, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, run the ball 6 or 7 times for like 45 yards. That's a great game.
So
I don't know why they're making it so complicated.
There's a lot of things over the years that I've thought about Kentucky football and their head coach, Mark Stoops, brother of Bob. I thought he was a good coach. I think he's a good coach, I should say. He definitely has one of the best contracts in sports. They just keep on adding on. And, each year that he wins X amount of games, he gets a little bit of more money. What I thought I would never say is that Mark Stoops is a coward. So I was watching them play against the former number 1 team in the land, Georgia, because the AP waited a week to react to me and put Georgia at number 2 where they belong. But Georgia was number 1 going into the game Saturday. Mark Stoops had 3 to 4 opportunities to apply pressure to Georgia. And he said, you know what? Give me that 57-yard field goal. Give me that 51-yard field goal. Oh, 4th and 2, 3 minutes left. I'm down by 1. Let's play some hardcore defense and get the ball back again. No, you don't get opportunities to beat the number 1 team. You got to take it as it comes. Now, Georgia, before everybody goes too far, I'm going to get your opinion on it, but before everybody goes too far, this is what Georgia does. Last year they went into Jordan Hare and let Peyton Thorne run all over them, and Auburn almost pulled an upset. The year before that, it was a late Saturday night. They went into Columbia, Missouri, and they needed a touchdown with 5 minutes left in the game to walk out of there with a win. Yeah, so this game will not reflect the rest of Georgia's season. And I will warn you that if you think so, just remember that they're on bye this week before they go to Tuscaloosa the week after. Yes, he was wrong for believing in his defense because Georgia was. This was the first time I remember somebody running the ball down Georgia's throat. They were pushing Georgia around.
Yeah,
You know,
every time I looked up at the TV, they were moving the ball like
yes, they were. So
aggressively
yeah,
against Georgia.
like your defense already held Georgia to 13 points. I don't need to believe in you no more. You showed me what you can do. I need the offense to do something. Oh, by the way, the offense led by Brock Vandergrift, transfer from Georgia. You ready for this one?
Yeah,
He is number 17 in the SEC in quarterbacks. There's 16 teams.
I mean, bees like that sometimes, man.
It bees like that sometimes,
Bees
but
like
like,
you
do you think this was a concern for Georgia?
I think it's a concern. Like you say, you talked about the Auburn game. There's a lot of points scored. Georgia scored a lot of points. Teams can get in a good groove scoring points, and then you are also a heavyweight fighter, and you fight back. Only getting 13 points when we talked about it. Their offensive line averages 6'6", 340. For you not to be able to just sit back there and like, you know what? Give me every available running back I have next to me. If I was an offensive coordinator or if you're in the booth, have them stand next down to the guy on the sideline and say, listen, I'm putting in a fresh 5-star back every play, and we're just going to run this ball downhill. I don't need any wide receivers. Give me all the tight ends. Give me all the running backs. Let's push this undersized defense around. They don't have as many dogs on their side as we do.
Right.
Carson Beck is not the answer. He's a good quarterback. He's going to be one of these guys that get drafted, and he's going to be on Tennessee, and we're going to be wondering in a year and a half why they drafted him and started him immediately. Conversation. But when you are the bigger, stronger team, you just got to simply just go out there and like, listen, Mike Tyson didn't jump around a lot in his fights. He didn't fight like Mayweather. He fought like a shorter version of George Foreman. Like, I'm in here, I'm throwing these bombs, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not running around the ring. I'm not dancing. I'm not trying to. He's not Roy Jones out there, but that's not what Mike Tyson did. Mike Tyson punched you in the mouth.
Right.
Some you lose some. But if you punch enough people in the mouth, you're probably going to win a lot of games. Georgia does that.
Yeah, they outrushed Georgia 170 to 102.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. That's where your play action comes in. No wide receiver screens.
When the score was going back and forth, it should have been a drive for Georgia where they had 75 yards rushing, where they just ran the ball the entire drive. Like, we are going to assert dominance right now. And they didn't do it. And I don't know why. I don't know if you just think, like, you know what, we're going to make a play because we have the players. Like, sometimes you have to force the issue. Like Kentucky on that 4th and 2, you got to force your way to victory.
Like I always say, right? If you're going to die, and I don't mean literally, if you're going to die with dignity. You know what I'm saying? Die on your feet instead of being on your knees.
Like, if you go out and fight, you need to be fighting on the way out.
You need to fight on the way out. This is the number 1 team in the nation. You owe, as a college coach, you owe this to your players. This is something.
Storm the field moment.
Yeah, this is something that they're going to live for the rest of their life. This is something that they're going to be remembered for. They can come to Lexington anytime they want and not have to pay for a damn thing.
Beer, French fries, and whiskey all day long.
But
instead, you robbed them of that.
You know who made me look like an idiot, though?
Purdue. I was running around Saturday, so I was catching up with some of the games. And I got to the casino. We checked into the room, and I saw the score. I was like, "Damn, Mike was wrong. He's never this wrong."
Oh my goodness, 66-7. Notre Dame.
It was going to be like when you said it. I was like, I wish I had more like explanation from my eye. But I remember you said it was like they can't do it 2 weeks in a row.
66-7. Like, look, and you know it was bad because at the end of the half, you're up big, you're trying to like run, get 2 yards or something, run the clock out. If you break one, fine, but you're just trying to run the clock out. They ran a 70-yard touchdown trying to run the clock out. I said, oh, to hell with that. And with that, we're moving on. So how about those Florida Gators? Down in Gainesville, let the true freshman come in. And his first start, and it was a 20-0 halftime lead. Billy Napier talking to the interviewer at halftime. They got a video of him in the background doing the "Don't Drink and Drive" video, being booed in the middle of telling everybody to not drink and drive.
Yeah,
they chanted for him to be fired. And, so like, it's over, man. Like, I don't know why he's still the head coach today. He came in there with great credentials. He was a Nick Saban guy, down at the University of Louisiana, 40-12, 16-0 against his division, won two conference titles, won the division all 4 years. Is it Tubby Smith syndrome, where he was great at Tulsa, he was great at Georgia, came to Kentucky, won a national title with Rick Pitino's players, and then went nondescript after that? And his son did look elite, except for, that one play. But yeah. So this always makes me ask the question, right? I know he's a true freshman, but why wasn't he starting in the first place? Like, you can't tell me you looked at Connor Wegman and said, like, this is the guy that's going to lead Texas A&M football. Now, I get it, right? Like, Mike Elko was a defensive coach. So maybe you lean with experience, like defensive coaches, I guess, are a little more conservative. I want the veteran in here that's not going to make a mistake. Our defense is going to play lights out. But sometimes you just got to play talent. Just got to play him. So let's go to the other side of Florida, or, let's go a little northwest of Gainesville, and let's talk about that shit show they call the Seminoles.
What is Norvell talking about with these? If you play 3 powerhouse conference teams, what is he talking about?
He's trying to.
Why don't you just say we played poorly?
Just say that
we should have been more prepared. I got to get his guys more prepared. I know it's a long season. We didn't start off great, but we're gonna have to make some changes. We're gonna have to really,
see, this is the problem,
and
right?
Fucking play better football. Like, I don't know what's wrong with that answer.
This is the problem. You can say, "Hey, we've already played 2 conference games. We had to, a lot of these teams are still out here playing Mercer and UMass and all this kind of stuff." But the problem is, like, you can only say that when you play in the SEC. You can only say that when you're not the favorite of your conference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not only that, not only were you the favorite of your conference, the teams that you played and lost to were middle of the pack. As far as preseason predictions go. So, so you can't even make that argument. If you lost to Clemson, if Miami, okay, we get it. You know what I mean? But you lost to Georgia Tech and Boston College. Mike Norvell put a cork in it. This season was lost, and I just came to this conclusion like 2 days ago, unfortunately. Yeah. This season was lost the moment those players didn't play in that Orange Bowl against Georgia.
How so?
Because it all comes back to culture. They spent all year or all offseason talking about, we're upset, we didn't get into playoffs, but like 12 to 15 of those players aren't even on the team this year. Like, so you were there.
So did the guys not play because they were NFL prospects, or they had transfer destinations already picked out?
No, so most of them were NFL prospects. Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, Jarrett Verse, Braden Fisk, Johnny Wilson, tried to catch a touchdown for the Eagles last night, but it looked like he does in Florida State. So they had players that were going to be drafted, but also it was one of those things where it's a bowl game. It's not a playoff game. The SEC excuse, right? We don't want to be there. Except for they just decided we ain't going to be there. Versus the SEC, they'll still play, lose, and then say we didn't want to be there. So I guess FSU just said, we'll just take the, drama out of it now and just
they must. And the problem that I have with the decision and the way that you as an organization, they knew without having your starting quarterback, it was going to hurt you in the rankings because ultimately the college football playoff is twofold. It's best team, best show. So it's not just all record. It's basically, like I said, you get enough people, get enough teams in that, 7 or 8 teams, and then you figure out, okay, who are the best four for our entertainment aspect of it, and some athletic counter, points went into it as well. But as soon as you lost your starting quarterback, it was like if the backup quarterback came in and they still were dropping 50.
If he came in and looked like Arch.
Yeah, if he came in, it was like, and it looked like you didn't miss a beat. Okay, yeah, you're good to go. Like, okay, these guys would have been good to go. I think the transfer portal helps and it hurts. I think the transfer portal is maybe buying some of these coaches some time because you're getting players in, players are leaving, players are getting poached. Like the kicker from Miami, Ohio. Talked about, hey, we didn't lose our kicker. He's in Alabama. Alabama stole him. We know exactly where he is. So I think coaches they're getting a little bit more of a leeway.
Well, it goes back to what I said last week. It goes back to what I said last week. The transfer portal is supposed to be supplemental, not your primary source.
Yeah. And DJ is not a playmaker. He's a traditional pocket passer. But I don't think he trusts what he sees from the pocket. But he doesn't get out of the pocket. Like the quarterback from Boston College was I can't say his name.
Thomas
Castellanos. He is you can see him make plays from the pocket, but ultimately he's a playmaker. He can get on the edge, he can run the ball, he can stretch your defense in different ways. Georgia Tech knew that DJ was Peyton Manning back there, statue version, not cerebral version. So they do like, okay, he's not going to make that many plays from the pocket. As long as we stay consistent, stay tight to the wide receivers, they're going to drop passes. Same thing happened in Boston
Which
College.
is crazy because Nick Saban, of all people, went to Florida State spring practice and went to some other practices. And he got on College game day and was like, this team is winning the ACC. This is the team that's going to be in the playoff. I got him as the 3 seed, whatever.
Can you touch the quarterback?
No,
in spring practice.
Well, also what you didn't see in spring practice. Also, what you didn't see in spring practice was 24 rushes for 37 yards against Memphis, and that includes a guy that went 4 rushes for 30 yards. So if you take that away, that's 20 rushes for 7 yards.
7 yards.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. And he only got 4 carries.
That's an attitude. That's a team.
Well, I wonder. This is what I was wondering.
There's players getting playing time that are done with this season.
This is what I was wondering.
And he needs to figure that out.
I was wondering if maybe after the Georgia Tech game, and this is just me speculating, after the Georgia Tech game, were they just out on DJ to some degree? Where they were like, because
after Boston College, for sure.
Because last year, right, when Jordan Travis got hurt, obviously DJ wasn't there. Brock Glenn came in. He didn't light the world on fire, but he was a freshman. But he was a freshman that spent all year with the team. So these guys know him.
He was also undefeated, thinking that if they continue to go undefeated, they were going to get a chance to play for a championship.
That too.
This current team was 0-1. And they were like, you know what? 12 teams this year. We win the ACC, we're fine. I think that was probably a good narrative floating around the building.
And they lost to DC, and that was over.
Because if you think about it, the field goal that Georgia Tech kicked, they had a loss on the previous play, like a bad snap. They had a loss. They called a screen pass. It was a couple of missed tackles that made that field goal
shorter,
less than 50 yards.
Right.
Now you make those tackles, that's a long kick. And I think
maybe they don't even try it.
Was Florida State up or was the game tied?
It was tied. It was tied. Okay. Yeah, they lost 24-21.
Okay, so I don't think you make the first. If they make the first tackle, it's fourth and like the field goal is probably
Like
59
52. Yeah,
yards,
right.
somewhere in
And
the
if they make
higher
that,
end
you
of the
just shake
50s.
their hand.
Yeah, like you came over to Ireland and you kicked the 60-yard field goal. Okay, bet. But they missed those couple of tackles. The guy got out of bounds, and the field goal was 48 yards. He knocked it through. But then I think the Boston College game, because it was prime. It was a Thursday night game, correct? Because you and I were doing a show.
No, it was Labor Day.
Oh yeah, it's a Monday night game, so it's a primetime game, and you just saw DJ is not ready for primetime. I think after that game, guys are done.
Yeah.
I think those guys are just going to practice, going through the motion. They're already texting and inboxing other coaches on the low or other friends they have from high school that are on other teams, and it's going to be a mass exodus. They're
Yeah.
probably
So Florida
hoping
State.
Norvell gets fired so they can just go
So,
without using an excuse. They can just go to another school.
so this week, try it again at Doak Campbell Stadium. 2-point favorite against the California Golden Bears in their first ACC game. You know,
2-point favorites
2-point favorite
against
over
Cal
Cal, and of course the game I'm going to
at
next
home.
week up at Dallas. So but when I look at this, I don't think Mike Norvell's getting fired unless
They go on 5.
it's like 3-9, it's 2-10. No, I think he gets the whole season because I mean he went 11-3 and 13-0 back to back.
So I'm
So I
saying, like,
think
if you go 0-5, they're 2-point favorites to Cal at home. So that means the football gods don't have a lot of faith in them winning.
hey, Cal went
That's
into
basically a coin
Auburn.
flip.
Cal went into Auburn 2 weeks ago and won. Just saying.
So it's basically a coin flip.
Yeah, it's
Right.
basically a coin flip. But the bigger point is, I brought up Brock Glenn. The bigger point is this going to be something that lingers? Because to some degree, and this is like I said, just me speculating. To some degree, did you just Did you just give a message? And this is the problem with the transfer portal. Did you just put a message out there that, yeah, you're our freshman that we brought in. You got some game time, won the ACC championship game, and I'm still going to go get a DJ Uyunglele to take your place.
Well, I'm pretty sure that guy's been through before as a freshman. I'm pretty sure they picked him over some other freshman that was trying to get recruited to Florida State.
That's freshman over freshman. I'm talking about I'm in this program. You recruited me. I was recruited by Ohio State. You beat out Ohio State to get me.
Well, now he has leverage to go to another school.
And then you went and got.
So now he can sit back, watch this train go off the tracks. Maybe he gets to start. Maybe he can show like, hey, I should have been starting from the beginning.
And then he transfers.
And now you transfer out.
And that's what I'm saying is that something that's going to linger to where it's like you could chalk it up to this year. Like, hey, you know what? This year, everything just fell off the rails. But that's where Mike Norvell gets in trouble because what does the quarterback position look like next year? You know what I mean? So I think that's where you get into all those.
I think because there's so much player movement. I mean, maybe Quinn Ewers doesn't go on the draft, and he graduates from Texas and does a year at Florida State. I mean, I don't think that's the case. But I imagine I didn't think Jalen Hurts would go to Oklahoma. I mean, so it's like
Texas got a great problem on their hands, don't they? You know, like Quinn Ewers gets hurt. Arch comes in, 5 total touchdowns. Now they got Louisiana.
That touchdown run, that was Archie Manning wiggle.
It was. And they got Louisiana Monroe this week. They get Mississippi State next week. They get a bye week, and then it's on to the Red River. So, we'll see if Quinn will be back by then, I'm sure. So let's get to the robbery, though, because there was a robbery that happened live on ABC Saturday. And all you Palmetto State folks know exactly what I'm talking about. How the hell did the referees let LSU out of that stadium as the victors? It was like the first time I've ever seen a game where 2 pick sixes got overturned. And, it's like, oh, don't touch the quarterback. Well, he's not the quarterback anymore because I just intercepted a pass. And now, like, we're running the other way. But the problem is that you can't just walk up to the dude and push him. Like, even though he sold it, he did sell it. Your best player especially can't do that.
Yeah, just leave the quarterback alone.
Just leave the quarterback alone,
He's
and you
not. He's
guys
not
win the
going to
game.
make a tackle. He's not risking his shoulders or elbows to make a tackle on a pick six anyway. He figures I'll get back out there and I'll get it back
Right.
because
And it goes
you
back.
see quarterback makes those business decisions before. Like they're not messing up their shoulders and arms.
And it goes back to what I was saying before, and I'm not trying to disrespect the Gamecocks or anything like that, but LSU is not a good team. They are just named LSU. So, like, people are going to overrate them, expect so much from them because of recruiting, because of who their coach is. But this is not a good football team, you know. And Shane Beamer, I got beef with you too, head coach at South Carolina. You went out here and got Robbie Ashford, who was supposed to be the heir apparent at Oregon, couldn't cut the mustard, goes to Auburn, loses the job to Peyton Thorne, and then you bring him in. And granted, you can't help your quarterback got hurt, right? Lenore Sellers, South Carolina was kicking ass while he was in the game. But you got to have something better coming off the bench. You know what I mean? You can't have a junior or a senior that you won't let throw the ball. That's for dudes like Brock Glenn, who are freshmen coming off the bench and you think the moment might be too big. You can't have juniors and seniors that you don't trust to throw the ball.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. Is like your starter might be all world. Quinn Ewers. He's Heisman candidate. He's probably going to be one of the first 3 or 4 quarterbacks taking an NFL draft next year if he comes out. But you recruited the hell out of Arch Manning, and he has him sitting as backup. Granted, he's Arch Manning. He probably has patience because he can actually afford to be patient, like
Right.
financially stable. Like I can afford to sit here.
Right.
I've been taught by a couple of Hall of Fame quarterbacks between my uncles or whatever the case may be. So everyone might not be able to do that, but with the transfer portal is going to be hard. But in the same sense, if you have a quarterback that runs,
right,
you got to have a backup guy that runs, or you got to have a backup available.
Well, no, he does do that. They do the same things, but Lenoris at least has a threat of throwing the ball. You know what I mean? He's not that great of a thrower either. But Robbie Ashford is like throwing 2-5 out there to quarterback at 43 years old. Like that's what Robbie Ashford is, except for he got wheels. You know what I mean? But LSU gave up 255 yards on the ground. Rocket Sanders, 19 rushes for 143 yards. Don't tell me about LSU. Don't tell me about how great this LSU team is or any. Like, we're done with that for this season. But this was the Boise, Oregon game all over again as far as what does momentum even mean? It's not a thing. But I guess at the same time, you could say once Sellers got hurt, the Cox went limp.
Pause.
You know what I'm saying? So then you go out to, Madison, Wisconsin. We were talking about this. I told you, if we could time portal, get the old Tyler Van Dyke back, Wisconsin would have a chance. We couldn't, and they didn't. And he got hurt, while the game was still close. I believe it was 7-3 at the time. It was a close game. They were hanging, they were hanging around with Bama, but they just couldn't. They don't have the talent. Then they brought in who? Braden Locke. What's the problem with Braden Locke? Nothing outside of the fact of he was the starting quarterback last year, and they went and got Tyler Van Dyke, this version. So, Ryan Williams at Alabama, this freshman wide receiver, 17 years old. Cups, you was talking about Malik Neighbors. In 3 or 4 years, get ready for this guy. You know what I'm saying? And, him and Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. But Alabama just took them to the woodshed. There was no way around it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what you should do when you are a football factory and you have all the best ingredients around your factory. It's like you just constantly just bringing in talent. Like this kid, Ryan Williams, graduated early, like reclassed himself, graduated early so he can enroll in Alabama in the spring. He was supposed to still be in high school.
Right.
And he did some academic rigmarole and then graduated and came to Alabama. So you're literally overloading on talent and putting it out on the field. And it's like, lights out. So they did what we thought Georgia would have done against Kentucky. Like, just going here, we're the bigger, better, stronger team.
Hey.
Our recent pedigree is championship or bust. We compete for championships. We don't compete with you guys. So it's
next week, Georgia at Bama.
It's gonna be tough. 23-20 in overtime. 27-24 overtime. We'll figure it out later though. So then, but yeah, so like that's those are the kind of games that you're supposed to go in and win. And yeah, you saying Bama was gonna be like 8-4. Like I said last week,
hey, they get a couple. Still young. They losing to Georgia next week. Put it on wax. Put it on wax.
Because
they losing to Tennessee. They losing to Tennessee. Put it on wax. That's halfway there already.
I'd rock with you on Georgia, and the only reason I'm kind of leaning with you is because they're taking a bye before they play them. And they're going to be well rested. They're going to have nothing but Bam on their mind for, ever since this game ended Saturday.
Bro, at the end of the day, right? Like I get it. They're 3-0. You know what I'm saying? And they've been, their scores look very good. But let me walk you through this. They beat my Hilltoppers, Western Kentucky. They beat South Florida, who they were in a 14-13 game with in the fourth quarter. Before a crazy call in that game, too, turned the whole tide. No pun intended. And then they went to Camp Randall to beat a Wisconsin team that's trying to run a passing offense instead of playing like Wisconsin.
Yeah, but you got to be who's on your schedule.
No, definitely. But I'm just saying, let's not act like
and it was, it was a 16-13 game in the fourth quarter with South Florida.
Yeah, it finished 42-16.
42-16.
Yeah, after that call. But I'm just saying.
So that just shows like
it shows that they can beat who they're supposed to beat.
And they can turn it on. We saw Georgia just go 13-12 versus
Yes, but that was against another SEC team that regularly wins 9 or 10 games. We're talking about G5 teams.
Yeah, but that quarterback is ranked 17 out of 16 SEC quarterbacks.
They were running that ball. But hey, Rocky Mountain Showdown. Travis Hunter does it again. 13 catches, 100 yards. I believe it was 2 touchdowns. Had a pick. Come on, man.
He made a catch and a move that he did like a little curl, right? Like he did a curl, but he had to jump for it. So when he was in the air, like his body was like facing like this direction. So when he was in the air and he landed, he just turned and went back up the sideline. Like most people, you turn to catch the ball, you plant, and you were like, come back this direction because you're going back to the ball. He landed and turned and went up the sideline and got like 10 more yards. Even the defense was like, how do you he made the decision in the air. Like when I land, I'm turning over my left shoulder, not my right shoulder. And the defense was like 3 defenders that were coming downhill on him. And he turned. I was like, how the hell did he make this turn? But it's like,
see now,
and that's what we're talking about. Like, Deion, is he going to be able to replace that connection, that Hunter Shador connection next year? Or does he have to go to coach FSU next year?
And that's the other problem. This Norvell is the one that's probably going to get fired, being Jay Norvell. Came over from Nevada, had all this hype, had all this promise. He is a good coach, but then last year, of course, he made it personal. And then they came back this year, started out 52-0 at Texas. Got a win after that. So now you got Colorado, right? Only a 7-point underdog. They're coming into your place first time since the 90s. This is the time where, you take over the state, or at the very least, you give them another close battle.
How close is Fort Collins and Boulder? Is that as close as I think it is?
It's about...
Is it Colorado Springs?
45 miles. It's about 45 miles.
Oh, so it's like Colorado Springs and Denver.
Because Boulder is right past Denver. Like, it's right past Denver. And then Fort Collins is like 20 miles short of Wyoming.
Oh, like the up towards like if you're going towards Greenlee and all that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
when we were trying to leave. Okay, all
Right,
right.
right,
Where the flood happened and we couldn't
right,
go.
right, right.
Okay.
So from there, and there's your geography lesson about the Centennial State. How about that, Residente? But there you go. So then when you look at it though, Colorado State, when Colorado was coming out, which goes back to my point about Shador earlier. Colorado State they were coming out the tunnel. Colorado State players were getting in the way, bumping them, doing all these things during the game. They were headshotting Shador, just acting like thugs, basically, like no different than what they were playing last year. So it's like one of those things, right? Like one, we don't want, like, I'm not a Colorado State guy, but we don't want you representing our university that way. Second of all, if you're going to represent our university that way, you got to win.
Got to win.
You got to win.
Got to win.
And especially if you're going to do it to them and only them,
you better beat them.
You got to beat them.
You can go 1-11, but you got to beat them soundly.
Yeah, so Jay Norvell, pack your bags. You know what I'm saying? We'll do that. And then you got Boston College.
Real quick.
Go ahead. My bad.
College. Michigan fans. Remember those Brady Oak Rich Rod years? Brace yourself. That's what's going 28-18 over Arkansas State at home after you got slapped by Texas.
Oh, so you putting it on wax that USC walking into the big house this weekend, huh?
Oh yeah, go ahead, book it. Book
it at USC?
Book that, yeah.
Okay, Trojangelus over the Weasels. You heard it here first.
Bet the over. Absolutely, yeah. I've like I think Michigan has like a lot of talent, but I just don't think that. I don't think you can lose a figure like Harbaugh and his physical philosophy. All of that's gone. Like some of it, you might maybe should more picked up on some of it, but it's not the same. Like you could put on Bobby Bowden's hat at FSU, but you're not going to be able to get on TV and say something like, "Hey, man, if I got a player to get a discount, I want to know how you got it." Knowing that they was in there getting free clothes when they shouldn't. Like you're not going to have that kind of like impact where Harbaugh can literally dodge these grenades from all these accusations and just keep coaching.
He ain't dodged no grenades. He ran the hell out of town.
He suspended 3 games last year, came back out there, still won national championship, still got hired by another team. Some people have that kind of aura. That's the new word people are using. Michigan,
you can't fuck with the Harbaugh Riz.
Yeah, you're. Sometimes I really hate English, the way we use it. But yeah, so Michigan, put you on notice. Yeah, we'll do the predictions later. But like I said, I'm not.
Logical's taking USC, y'all.
I wouldn't be optimistic.
He's taking USC, y'all. But I was just going to mention that Missouri got pushed by Boston College. I mean, Boston College jumped out 14-3. Missouri was able to lock it down, come back. Boston College got a late touchdown. So 27-21's your final. But then, everybody started doing the thing where is Missouri is good. Like, I don't know. Maybe Boston College is pretty good. We'll see. But shout out to Georgia and Ole Miss. Both schools still have not given up a touchdown yet this season. Here's one for you, Mr. Logical. You'll love this. Cups, you'll love this. The Toledo Rockets, they were scheduled to play Maryland this past weekend. Maryland backed out of the game, gave Toledo $575,000 for backing out of that game.
Okay.
All right. So now Toledo's got to, they got to find a game. So what they did was they decided to make a deal with a school down in Starkville, Mississippi, that love their cowbells. They went into Mississippi State and won 41-17. And Mississippi State paid them $1.2 million for that game.
So they made $1.8 million. There
you go. And by the way, Florida State paid Memphis 1.3. So there you go. Shout out to UCF, hashtag UC Facts, with the 18-point comeback at TCU. So you know what that means, right? Do you believe? Because they were only in the national title game 2 years ago. That means UCF back, right?
Come on, man. We're not
just saying. That. Just trying to use the logic.
That's not our show.
Just trying to use the logic. Kent State. We talked about this. Remember this, Cups? I asked the question in the group chat in the hot box. I said, "Hey, Tennessee is favored by 47.5 against Kent State. Should I take it?" And let me tell you what Nick Saban's alma mater did. They went into Knoxville, got 28 minutes of possession, gave up 70 points. So, yeah, I should have took that bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I hear 47.5 point spread, I just think like they got to call the dogs off, and the other collegiate football team is going to squeeze out a couple of.
You can't do it when you only got 28 minutes of possession.
You just figure like, okay, cool. They're going to go up. They're going to go up 31-3 at halftime. They'll come out in the second half. They'll get 38-3, maybe 41.
If I remember
and then
correctly,
the fourth, they'll pull their starters, and then the other team, they just squeeze. They get a couple extra touchdowns.
If I remember correctly, it was 47
not paying attention.
If I remember correctly, it was 47-0 at halftime. Arch Manning, 9 for 12, 223 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then he had the touchdown run we talked about. 3 rushes, 53 yards, and apparently he ran faster than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
That's what they say.
I heard that same thing. Like, so that means he ran 22 miles an hour.
And Residente, that I got to hit the Utah section of the show for you. The Beehive State. Freshman Isaac Wilson, brother of Zach, getting his first win, and it was on the road against Utah State. So there's another Wilson that you have to deal with. And, this weekend's the big one, Mr. Logical. Utah's going to Stillwater to play the Cowboys.
Starting quarterbacks, ages 25 and 24.
49 years old combined. And I think it was the Bears and Colts.
Colts, Bears, 44 22-year-olds.
Yeah. So now Missouri has 19 straight, home non-conference wins. So back to the Purdue-Notre Dame thing real quick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Notre Dame.
What did you think that Purdue had something that was going to help them win, or you just thought Notre Dame was just going to just have a...
Yeah, I thought Notre Dame's quarterback, who is not a quarterback, they usually talk about the black guys that need to play wide receiver or something else, like Riley Leonard should be the next Ryan Tannehill, if that's the case, but in reverse, like Benjamin Button style. You know what I mean? So I thought that, he had a shoulder injury as well. So I wasn't sure that he was going to play in the first place. But, Purdue, I just remember their head coach, Rex Walters, came in from Illinois, one of the best defenses in the Big Ten while he was there. And I took a leap of faith. But Notre Dame said, we'll rush it 44 times for 362 on you. Saying Purdue went 1 for 12 on third down. And here's the kicker. Total yards, 578 to 162.
Yeah, that's going to win you a lot of football games.
That's going to win you a lot of football games. Michigan State, Sparty, 3-0. And guess what? Now they go to Boston College for the bandana game this weekend.
Yeah, we weren't really high on them. I think we had them being like 0-4 after the bandana.
I'm glad that you said that, because you know who I was high on? I was high on the Indiana Hoosiers, who are 3-0, went into UCLA with a 42-13 win. I'm telling you, watch out. You might get an undefeated versus undefeated when they play Nebraska in a few weeks. They got Charlotte, Maryland, and Northwestern coming up before they play Nebraska on October 19th.
That's Indiana or Michigan State?
That's Indiana. So there you go. Mr. Logical, Cups. I was trying to instigate, saying y'all ain't done yet. Rutgers and Virginia Tech this weekend. And yes, Rutgers won last year and kicked their ass. The backyard brawl. Remember last week I was talking about, the backyard brawl. We got to have it every year. I don't know if you got a chance to get eyes on it, but that was the best game of the weekend. Pitt even had a 10-point comeback with 4 minutes left, to steal it at the end. Sad to say, next year is the last year that they play up until 2029. They play for another 4 years, but we need it every year. If Appalachian State and Liberty survive this week, next week, somebody's getting eliminated from playoff contention because G5 gets the playoff spot now.
Yeah,
but speaking of the G5 playoff spot, UNLV went into that little ass soccer stadium and beat the Jayhawks. So that gives UNLV two Big 12 wins. They got Syracuse in 2 weeks, and they get Boise at home. So talking about playoffs, keep your eye on UNLV.
This is going to be interesting, the playoff vote. I know it's still literally middle of September, but I'm excited for this 12 teams. It's going to be about 18 teams that are going to be able to make a real case, and I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm here for it.
And then let me pick on Kent State one more time. Can I give you a little advice? And I know you got paid, probably getting paid well for this, but let me just give you this piece of advice. Do not go to Tennessee and Penn State back-to-back. As Mr. Logical says, don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know who makes these schedules.
And then finally,
I guess you want to get that ass whooping out of the way early, though. Get all your money, get your ass whooping, and then play your season.
Finally, in the crazy, what the hell are these teams doing? Remember earlier it was what the fuck is Will Levis doing? Now it's what the hell are these teams doing? So Cal and San Diego State combined 27 penalties for 233 yards. Cal won 31-10. Stop committing all them penalties if it ain't a close game. Wasting our time. I know I'm trying to stay up and watch these West Coast games because I got to scout the opponent for Florida State, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the college football this year has been interesting. I like it. I like that the top teams are playing like top teams. The SEC, it still doesn't make sense to me, like all the teams that are in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really sinking in that we're getting USC, Michigan this weekend. It's like these games you weren't really used to getting, and now with them all being in the same conference, it's kind of bittersweet because
that's a Rose Bowl.
I like the regional conference. I'm still like I'm an old head. I like the ACC that have teams that are in Atlantic.
You hear this, Presidente?
I like all of the old regional format because it locked you in. For instance, that 10 o'clock game, USC versus Cal, you'd watch because Michigan played Wisconsin earlier that day, and they're battling for the top 3 spots because they're all 6-0, whatever the case may be.
Put it on a T-shirt, underdog.
So you would watch it. But now USC playing at noon because all their opponents are in the Eastern or Central time zone. Is like it kind of takes away the all day experience of college football.
Right.
Like that that noon to 1 a.m. All I'm doing all day Saturday is watching college football. You can pretty much shut it down around like 9.
Yeah, good luck, UCLA. You just lost 42-13 to Indiana, and your reward for that is to go play LSU now. Who, been hearing people talk all week about how, they cheated South Carolina.
Maybe both LA schools, like Deshaun Foster said, UCLA is in LA with USC.
Well, apparently the fans still don't know that because the Rose Bowl's still empty.
Yo, that's a nice stadium too. It's in a nice area. I went there for a fireworks show back in the day.
Yeah, still
nice.
empty.
It's like I think it's like bleachers though.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's like bleachers, maybe some seats. So it's like it's definitely very antiquated, but it's nostalgic. It's a nice place to play football.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting. Like I said, you got Utah and Oklahoma State this week. You got Alabama, Georgia next week. So the drama is coming. The drama is coming. You know, these top
It's a
five
very
matchups,
early
top 10
bye
matchups.
week, though. Very early bye week. I don't know if they're.
Well, they get 2 bye weeks now.
Yeah, but this. Do you want a bye week after only scoring 13 points, or do you want to get back out there, knock that
I don't
dust
know if
off?
we're about to go. If Alabama's your next game, you probably want the bye week so you can work out some kinks.
You don't want to play like Murray State and put up 60?
Maybe.
Because I know, like, Bama, before they play Auburn, generally, they play like Mercer.
But they also take a bye before the LSU game.
Like Alabama traditionally does, or does Georgia do
Alabama and LSU usually take a bye before they play each other. And oh, by the way, Alabama's got a bye week this week as well. So there you go. Both teams on a bye. So there you go. Your advantage is neutralized. So now you gotta pick the game.
You just gotta hope that Kentucky didn't put enough of your flaws on film that could be exploited by Alabama.
Yeah. So there you go. But folks, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for joining us. We love you so much. You know, do me a favor, of course. Like, review, subscribe, share, review. We are everywhere you get your podcasts. Do all the free things. Do all the good things. You know what I'm saying? And we will be back. So this week, Thursday, we're going to be here on Thursday. Starting next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at the same time, but Tuesdays and Thursdays instead. So, lock in with us, do those things, spread the word. Biggest movement since Dipset. Sports Reports is ordered. Peace.